have a lot to cover here. It's kind of overwhelming. Anyways, welcome to the part 2. And this is Ruto Town. All the towns are named after... Well, they're not named after because Ocarina of Time came later. Ocarina of Time had its sages named after most of the towns in this game. And Mido wasn't a sage, but he was still made an important character. You'll get to Mido Town eventually. I don't know how to pronounce it. Some of the NPCs don't give you any important information, but others do. So that's kind of annoying, but I've played this game so much that I can tell which NPCs tell you important information. Usually it's the pregnant ladies and those particular male NPCs that give you important information. And the old ladies. Those usually give you information as well. And you enter houses by walking into the doors and holding up. And that's how you enter them. And now you get the jump spell, which lets you jump a lot higher. You probably noticed that Link doesn't really jump very high. It's almost as if he was made to not be a platformer character. But anyways, I was talking about the experience point system in the earlier part. And basically, it takes more experience points to level up every single time you level up, just like in every other RPG. And when you beat a dungeon, you get an automatic level up. And this means that it's better to just save beating all the bosses for a lot later in the game. Because it's for the same reason that you don't want to use a rare candy right away. You want to save it until your Pokemon is at a lot higher of a level. Because at a higher level, it takes a lot longer to get a level up. So you probably think it's weird that I'm putting off fighting the bosses until almost the very end, but that's just how I do things. And really, that's the best way to play Zelda 2. I want to show you the best way to deal with these guys. And that's the louder. And they're kind of annoying because they speed up really quickly and suddenly, and you kind of gotta be careful about landing next to them. And I hate the Gorias, I really do. Like, these guys can be pretty annoying. In the Japanese version of the game, the experience point system is a lot different. Oh, hold on. These red eggs are pretty annoying. They throw fire at you. Well, I beat him before he even got the chance to, but you'll probably see that later. You're forced to use the jump spell here. I don't really see what this accomplishes though, because you can get the jump spell at any time. You don't have to beat the first dungeon in order to get it. In order to get the jump spell, you have to go through that cave that I went through with that I died a Castlevania death in, and you basically have to get that side quest item that I mentioned. Like, this is the first Zelda game to introduce the concept of side quests, where you do tasks for NPCs, and that makes them help you. I don't really kill all the enemies on the screen all the time. Like, I just don't feel motivated to do it, which is weird because, and when I'm playing an RPG, I always go out of my way to kill every enemy I see. Like in Pokemon, I never use repels. Well, almost never. Like, barely ever. Because, like, sure it makes me over-leveled, but I'd rather be over-leveled than under-leveled. Like, those jumping enemies are kind of annoying, because, like, they jump a whole bunch, and you have to time your swings. You have to time your attacks very right. Bagu is supposed to be translated as bug. He's supposed to be... Like, there's two NPCs in the game called Air and Bagu. And Bagu is the Japanese word for bug. So, that was a attempt at a joke that got lost in translation. And the NPC called Air, he actually says something important later on. but not right now. He's the only NPC in the game to do that. Yeah, most of the areas in this forest are exactly the same. They aren't really worth showing off. And again, these guys are kind of difficult to deal with. Like, this game is pretty hard. I mean, if you're too reckless, then you're gonna lose a lot of health. And I think the hardest thing about this game is that there are no hearts that are dropped by the enemies. So you're a lot more likely to die. And you can get healed in towns, but obviously you're not going to be spending most of your time in a town. Those blue spiders are called dealers. Yeah, that's a weird name. And the blue spiders are the most annoying because they jump all over the place after landing on the ground. The red ones never land. And the spiders can fall down pretty suddenly, and you have to time your attacks carefully to hit them. The annoying thing about the fairies in the overworld, in the specific areas where you can always be guaranteed to get them, they don't respawn, ever. So, it really feels like they're not nearly as useful as they could be. Why can't the game do what Zelda 1 did and have great fairy fountains where the fairies are always guaranteed to appear? You have to stab the experience point pegs to get them too. In the Japanese version of the game, you had to stab all items to collect them, including dungeon items. And there was no sprite at all showing Link congratulating himself for picking up an item. He just stabbed it and that was it. It was pretty underwhelming. And this is the main gimmick of this town. Some of the NPCs will turn into bats. And some of the bats actually take like 11 hits to kill, regardless of how high your attack power is. And I think those ones are rare because it took me a surprisingly long time. It took me a surprisingly long time to find bats like that. Yeah, you pretty much need a guide to know what you have to do here. Yeah, you press B near the table, and that'll cause you to pick up the mirror. And then you just talk to the woman who has a jar above her head, and that's how you get access to the next spell. The next spell in this game is the life spell, and it is easily the best spell in the game. But the problem is that it doesn't restore all of your health, and that's gonna get really annoying later on in the game. It's another reason why the game is considered to be so hard. I mean, I'm one of those people who doesn't hate Zelda 2, but I still get pretty frustrated by the fact that you don't get all of your health restored from the life spell. And so life spell, you get these heart containers in the game that increase the maximum amount of life you can have. And that helps a lot. And I actually memorized where every heart container and magic container is. But it's just annoying. Just the life spell is not as good as it could be. This is the first game in Zelda franchise to introduce the concept of a magic meter. And in this game it's an annoyance, to be honest, because there's no way at all to refill your magic other than to collect tiny magic containers that the enemies will drop. And the red potions fully restore your magic meter, and once you get the life spell, you can use them to restore your life as well by collecting the red potion and immediately casting life. Because the magic meter will keep being refilled The magic meter will keep being refilled after you cast a spell. So you can sort of make up for the amount that you lost, and that was a weird glitch. I've never had that glitch before. I wish Link would stay like that. Has anyone else had this glitch? I'm gonna call this the Darkling Glitch, because Blue Link Glitch doesn't really feel all that great. Unfortunately, this glitch is undone the instant you leave the screen. And these bats don't give nearly as much experience as you'd expect when they take 11 hits to kill. Like, they still give you 3 experience points, even if they're the really hard ones. And it's kind of annoying trying to fight enemies in towns, because there's NPCs constantly walking around, and the talk button is the exact same as the attack button. And it's really cheap how you're expected to fight these guys, because they're trying to... Look, I wasn't trying to talk to the NPC. You try to talk to these guys, you try to fight these bats, and you talk to the villagers instead. It's always annoying when everything's mapped to one button. But the NES only had the A button and the B button, so I can sort of forgive it. Yeah, you have to talk to Bagu in the forest, and only then does the Riverman allow you to cross. So, like, this is the first Zelda game to introduce the concept of having to do specific tasks in the overworld in order for you to get to the next dungeon. In Zelda 1, you could just go straight to the next dungeon if you wanted to. And this is Death Mountain, and despite how hard it is, it's my favorite point in the game. I always look forward to this part. These guys are pretty difficult. They're called moblins, but they're nothing like the ones that you see in Dead Woods in Zelda 1. They don't shoot arrows at you. They throw spears. I mean, some of them throw spears, and those are the most intimidating ones. But the red ones aren't so bad. The Octoroks, even the Octoroks of this game are harder, because they're constantly jumping, and you have to specifically time hitting them so that you'll hit them. Because if you don't try to hit them exactly right, then they'll hit you. I didn't finish talking about the experience point system. The reason that the Japanese version of the game is worse, well, one of the many reasons, is that in the Japanese version of the game, the level up system is handled differently. You probably noticed that there are specific point requirements for leveling up magic and attack and life, which is the defense stat of this game. And these guys are called Daras, and they're really annoying. Anyways, in the Japanese version of Zelda 2, you can level up any stat you want at any time, which sounds perfect. I mean, that's how every RPG should be. It's all you can customize your character. Sounds great, right? Well, here's the problem. Oh yeah, in the Japanese version of the game over screen is just a black screen. It doesn't actually show that monster there. And these flying enemies are really annoying. They're one of the many enemies that you get hit by them, and they take away some of your experience points. That is unheard of for RPGs. There aren't that many enemies that take away your experience points when you get hit by them. But anyways, there's so much happening in this game. Basically, if you die, if you lose all of your lives in the Japanese version of Zelda 2, then you're pretty much, I used to think that all of your levels would be restored to 1. No, that's not what happens. That would be extremely awful. Instead, let's say that you have level 5 attack power, level 4 magic power, and level 3 life power. Well, if you lose all your lives, you're going to be forced to level 3 for every stat. That's how it works in the Japanese version. It's isn't losing all your lives punishment enough? Because when you lose all your lives, you're forced to start all the way back from North Castle. Later Zelda games would introduce the concept of being able to start from wherever you want. Well, not wherever you want, but Link to the Past lets you start from 3 different places if you're in the light world. And I like that. That's a very good design decision. They don't do that in many other Zelda games. Oh yeah, these guys are really annoying. Like, I hate how they throw their axes. And they throw one axe after another, and it's so hard to avoid getting hit by them. It can be kind of overwhelming having to fight these guys.